Hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'm sitting actually in the kitchen of the red brick house. The thing about the red brick house in the kitchen, when I grew up, everybody ended up being in the kitchen because the kitchen ended up being the nerve center of the house. And even to this day, my mom will be cooking Christmas dinner or canning or whatever, and it'll be hot in the kitchen, but yet that's where everybody goes. And this is a great space because my wife is doing some stuff here with celery, making celery juice and things like that. And I'm sitting here doing some research and things. We're in the process of doing the application for the historic registry. And there's 4 criteria that they have to be registered, part of the registry. I think it's, and let's see if I can remember the 4. 1, historic significance, that, somebody famous that lived there and things like that. 2, would be architecture-wise. The style of the house is that, you think about Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. That's, the cantilever. It's groundbreaking, where so much of our building style and things are there. 3 is the archaeology, that something important was dug up there. And I can't remember what the 4th one is. Oh my goodness, I'm getting old and forgetful. But basically, and talking to my friend Kevin, who works at the library, who's done tremendous research for us. In fact, he found something here that's really groundbreaking that I'm going to tell you about in a second. As he put it, this house meets 3 of the 4 criteria. The only thing is they, and probably if we went through with a metal detector, we'd end up finding, bullets from the Battle of Waynesboro that took place right around the place here, or when it was actually the city's blacksmith's home, because there was a blacksmith shop that was right down on the side of the hill here. So with the proximity of this house, a lot of people don't know that are currently in the area, but there used to be the old Presbyterian church that was built in 1824, which was right beside us. And on the other side of it, of course, is the Presbyterian cemetery, where Mary and David Bush, who are the ones that sold the land to a a War of 1812 veteran, William Brown, for the place. Now, the question here is, and one of the figuring out the historic significance is, we know that William Brown was a Mason. He was a Mason. And in fact, he was the founder of the first Masonic lodge that was here, that disbanded later on and later became the Lee Lodge, named after Robert E. Lee. He actually gave his permission for them to use his name, and is a Masonic lodge that's still in existence to this day. But I don't think it's called the Lee Lodge anymore. We have, with the help of Debbie, a descendant of the Hippards, the ones that literally put on this section of the built this part of the house. She has gotten copies of the deeds, and with the help of her and Kevin, I think we can actually prove that this was actually a schoolhouse. And how is that significant? Well, the oldest, at least they say the oldest school in Augusta County is 1834. This was built in 1820, so that would make this the oldest school in Augusta County. And so I want to read something to you, or at least our evidence that we have. Captain William Brown, this is in the deed book. Captain William Brown, through a deed of trust, conveys the property for security. See, he ended up having too many debts after he built it. To John Churchman, sorry to put your business out there, my man. To John Churchman, County Commissioner, for debts to Levi Steppingson. At the sale, Churchman sells the property to John Taylor for $125. A note in the deed of trust states, and there's a note in the deed of trust, being the same property upon which Brown lately built a brick schoolhouse, 2 stories, 30 by 18. So, if you take a tape measure, 30 by 18 is what the size is outside. Now, of course, the brick walls in here are about that thick. So interior-wise, you don't have that much space. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because in the Augusta County records, Kevin found this. And this is about possibly who might have been the school teacher. Let me read this now. Schools from the Revolutionary War, that for those of you out there that say kids ain't learning anything now. Schools from the Revolutionary War until 1810 or 1812 were common or old field schools with teachers who were nearly as ignorant as the pupils. A conversation with a candidate for a job was recorded in paper and went as follows. What can you teach? Well, most anything. Do you know your letters? No. Oh, yes. Can you spell? Oh, yes. Can you read? No, I cannot. But I think I can learn while the scholars are learning to spell. Waynesboro's schoolmaster was Peter Levine, I'd probably mispronounce his name, who was better educated than most, but those going on to school were usually tutored by well-educated Presbyterian ministers of the area. And so Peter was the teacher in this area. And in 1820, there was only 250 people in Waynesboro, roughly around 1820. So to think that William Brown built this in the deed of trust, saying that it was built as a school, Peter Levine being a schoolmaster who was better educated than most, who was a Presbyterian, and the Presbyterian church right there, I think we can kind of connect the dots here together, and voila, it was a school. This was a school. And possibly, my wife's laughing at it, possibly the oldest school at the time. And to think that the teachers would just ask, do you know your letters? Yeah. Do you know how to read? Yeah. Okay, you're a teacher. So we've come a far way from school. So this is what we are looking at. And so as we go through the process of what is the historic significance of the house, being the first school, I'd say that's pretty big. Understanding that the person who built this place was a War of 1812 veteran, I'd say that's pretty big. Being that it was part of the Bush Farm, which was basically most of what is Waynesboro, and being sold on it, I think that's significant. Further down into the book that we've gone through here, it's believed, deeds also refer to it being the Mason Lodge in 1820 and 1862. And the thought on it was that William Brown built it because he was the head of the Masons for the area, that he built it as a school on the first level, and that they were going to use the upper level as the Masons' home. Wow. It's crazy putting together all the pieces that you get, because unlike today where everything is out there and you just Google it, you got to go through a lot of old books and a lot of paperwork to try and get the real facts. And this is actually really cool, the things we find out. All righty, good people. Appreciate you. And as always, have a great day.